10 minutes of your time today. Um, I just kind of wanted to ask you a couple questions because I know there's some uncertainty and people are just hearing a lot of mixed messages about what's going on. So I wanted to just kind of get some summary about what you are seeing and experiencing with the current market. So, well, first of all, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick, Mike.
How you doing? My name is Mike Monaco. I'm with A&M Mortgage Group, and I've been in the industry for about 36 years now. And it's just a volatile time we're experiencing right now,
Okay.
the likes that most have not seen.
Yeah. All right. So, what are the biggest changes you've seen in the last 7 days?
What I see is, the government came with their stimulus package, and that stimulus package is pumping money into the mortgage-backed securities to add some stability, which is great. The downside of that is, as we were looking this morning, as soon as the stimulus money goes in there, um, the bonds rally, and then soon as that money has been bought up, there's no other buyers coming to the table, which those are the people that we're looking for, the big servicers, the Wells, the Chases, the Mr. Coopers, all of the big servicers in the country. We're not seeing them come to the table, especially on the Ginnie Mae side for the government loans, the FHAs and the VAs. So we're seeing just rates that are just crazy, absolute crazy, because
When
they,
you say when you say you're seeing crazy rates, what does that mean then for our average buyer in the Northwest Indiana market?
rates that they're higher than they should be.
Okay.
The problem that we're seeing is that the market should be in the low threes for 30-year fixed money, 3.2, 3.3, 3.5, depending on credit scores. But what we're seeing is rates that are in the fours, and it's because of the liquidity issues. They're worried that they're not going to have buyers, and what happens is they close those loans, put them on their warehouse lines, and then they go to sell them in the secondary market, and there's no buyers for them. So then the warehouse lines say, get these off my line. They can't get them off their line. So then they have margin calls. And this is a time where, you know, companies can go under because of this if they're not careful on where they're placing their loans. Now, there's still some people out there that are taking some risk, and everything right now is based on risk appetite.
Okay.
So there's still people buying houses. There's people still refinancing houses. It's a great time. Rates are still good. It's really going to come down to, I believe, the security of the positions that you're in as a job.
Okay. So if you were a consumer right now that's stuck between kind of that new level that they've set for most companies of, would you say, is a 680 credit score for an FHA or a VA loan?
It's funny that you say that, is because we just got off a conference call and we're seeing that number come down now, where
Okay.
everything in the marketplace is kind of a knee-jerk reaction, where we're going to go to the worst case scenario, and then as the market starts to settle and people start to come back into that market, then all of a sudden that number starts working its way down to where it should be. Now, I would say the vast majority of people are going to be in that 640 range, is kind of where that pendulum is settling.
Okay.
And I think what we'll see is sub 640 will be very difficult.
Okay. So as a lender, what are you looking for in a viable buyer right now in this current market atmosphere?
Well, what we're finding, and protocols that are being put in place for closings, which has disrupted some people's apple carts, and it's all the horror stories that you hear that they're approved, approved, approved. They get to closing, and then they're doing refresh credit checks. Number one. Number two, they're doing verbal verifications of their employment to make sure that they're not on furlough, because if they're on furlough, then they're not guaranteed their position as far as pay is concerned past the 2 weeks or the 3 week furlough that they're getting. So that's where investors are coming back into it a little bit more aggressive than they have, and said, we want to make sure that this guy's going to be employed by the time the first payments due. And that is something that's very, very new. We've always had a 9-10 day window where we do a verbal. Are you still working? Yes. They close the loan, but now because of all of the stay-at-home orders from many, many states, they're also checking the fact to make sure that if they are put on furlough, that they're indeed going to have paychecks throughout.
Okay.
And many people are working from home. And I think that is going to become the new norm going forward. We're going to find that people are as efficient at home because of technology as they always were in their office places. And that may change the dynamics of many marketplaces moving forward. But I think that there's plenty of people that are, being stay home orders, and they're being paid full pay. So it's just cautious moving forward is kind of the mode.
So for those who right now have solid positions, they're needing to move. It's not just a want, but they're needing to move for relocation purposes, or they already sold their home, or they already made an offer on something, so they need to sell. So as far as that market, would you encourage people that they're going to get a strong rate even in this time, and that they should keep moving forward? Or what would
I
you say?
What I would say is that there's going to be times that we see what we're doing with a lot of people, even in the refinance market, where we're taking their information, putting it into the system, and we don't have to lock it right now.
Mhm.
What we have is we have a float down option where we can lock them right now, which gives us upside protection in case the market goes the other way, God forbid. But it also gives us the downside ability that if the market moves down by the time they're ready to close, we just float down with it. And it's a big security blanket
It's
for the
at no
borrowers,
cost to them?
no cost.
Okay, that's good news.
So yeah, and I think people are all going to adapt, to calm everybody's fears down. That when you think about it, if you're sub 4%, these are the best rates in history.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it a very long time. I remember getting into the business when rates were at 18.5%. Then you see what kind of salesperson you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And, when you're in the fours, it's still a great time to purchase. It's just the mindset where maybe my cousin got a 3.25 or my brother got a 3.5, and you can get those. I think that there's times where we float people and we look for those opportunities, and you're picking them off 1 or 2 loans at a time, and then the money's gone.
Mhm.
And they're very, very small windows. We're looking for the windows to lengthen and become wider and wider as far as time is concerned.
Of course. Well, and you want people to get the lowest rate that's reasonable
Abs-
for their situation.
Absolute, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So just everything encouraging everybody that things are still moving forward and bouncing
Absolutely.
back. They have to kind of do the knee-jerk response first and make things a lot more strict and tighter. And now things are opening up a little bit now that everybody's ready
Right.
to move
And
forward.
I think that everybody, there's a lot of smart people in this country that are pulling the strings right now, and they know that right now we have some of the best credit quality that we've had in decades. And what's coming out right now, they just don't want to get to a point where we have a mortgage meltdown because of default ratios and things like that, where people are able to not pay the mortgage payment for 3 months, 12 months, whatever, by these stimuluses.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden those values come down a little bit. So I think that what we're seeing is that they're just being very, very cautious because they don't want to get to that point.
Which protects us all in the
It
end.
protects us all. It
Yeah,
really
which is
does.
why
It's
a
just
recession doesn't mean housing market crash. When
That's
so many
correct.
people make those things to be totally intertwined, they're
Uh,
completely
uh, they are separate, and I think that everybody just it's a hard pill to swallow at the very second that it happens. However, like I said, experience has told me that everything they do is always to the opposite extreme, and then in time, days, weeks, whatever it takes, month, it'll settle back into the middle where it belongs.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's all good news, I think, and it gives us the power of knowing what's going on in our direct market because we're hearing news, of course, across the entire United States, and sometimes niche markets are impacted more harder than other markets. So I just wanted to jump on with you and give people some information and some comfort about what's actually going on because that's our job as professionals to make sure everybody knows what's going on. So thank
Truly
you
appreciate
so
it.
much for your time this morning. Everybody, Mike Monaco of A&M Mortgage Group, he is the bomb. So I will post all of his information in the link below. So
I
thanks.
truly appreciate it, Brooke. Brooke,
Have an
top
amazing
notch,
day.
top notch agent out there, and also everybody stay safe.
Yes, thanks, Mike.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.